Hello all and welcome back to Season 4 of the FRS in Xbox Division 1. The final break week of the season is now behind us and we head to round 10 of 12, this time visiting Italy once again in Imola. We've already had one visit to an Italian circuit at the Temple of Speed in Monza, but once again back to Imola, an old track, a new track to us though, first time we've seen it on the FRS calendar. But it's just a hair over 3 miles long, just a hair under 5 kilometers long. And with only one DRS zone down the front straight and 19 corners, it's definitely going to be a technical challenge for our drivers to handle today. So we're coming off the back of an admittedly disappointing result for ourselves in our home Grand Prix at the USA, and has definitely caused us to tumble down the standings a little bit, looking to get back on form. And it's definitely going to be a track where qualifying is going to be quite important. And of course, thus far in the season, we've managed to dodge a lot of the weather here in the Xbox Top Division. But let's take a look at the standings as we head into round 10. MJ Povey leading the championship tables, 173 points, has the opportunity to clinch the championship this round out. QX Nemesis just ahead of Habs fan Nick in third, with LC Fighter, the Aston Martin teammates, right up at the top of the board. Brenchel is in fifth, followed by ourselves in sixth, just 2 points separating us. Then we have El Gloverino a little ways behind, about 21 points back. Issei and Johan, the two Alpha Tauris, holding down P8 and 9. And Mid Falcon, the late season joiner in the Haas, is in 10th place overall. Voki, sitting in 11th, has had some bad luck this season, looking to turn that around, and is ahead of Pepmeister. Jinx is in 13th with 23 points. And Gali and Kem, the two Red Bull teammates, with Gali rejoining during the PC break, holds down 14th and 15th. Cryptic, Sid, Statman Joey, and Stanier make up 16, 17, 18, and 19, with Backwash Boy and Cameron Slater, the last driver on the grid, with the points. We'll see how many people we've got on the grid today to contribute, but we'll also have to take a look at the constructors' standings this time around and see how those are getting on. And here we have it. Williams, on the strength of MJ Povey, there are 196 points to their name, holding down the top spot in the constructors, but Aston Martin just behind, 181 points so far, and a very strong showing from the two Aston teammates of QX Nemesis and LC Fighter. Ferrari, after getting out the gate strong on the backs of Habs Van Nick and El Gloverino, have slipped back just a little bit, but are still very much in the hunt, only 42 points back of the championship lead in the constructors. Mercedes has 96 points, powered by Quimulus, and of course Sid's one appearance where he picked up a podium, and then a DNF right after that. We'll see if they're going to be able to make any moves up into that top three. McLaren is in fifth though, nipping at the heels of Mercedes on 91 points. Alpha Tauri in a strong sixth place with 73 points, just ahead of Haas, who has 69 points to their name. Last season's champions Red Bull sit down in eighth, with Alfa Romeo and Alpine bringing up the rear. But here we are, jumping out onto the track, our first flying lap and our first look around the circuit of Imola. So opening up the DRS, crossing the start-finish line, you can see there are a couple of corners that are not necessarily corners here, as there's several kinks. But here we are down into the first chicane. Tamburello down to a fourth gear, carrying about 100 miles an hour through the apex there, and on the power coming out. It's not much of a braking zone for turn one, so it could be very dangerous in the race there, as Backwash Boy is off the track and out of the session as we go through the second Variante Villeneuve there. Now into Tosa, the hairpin, the far end of the track, and now we blast it up the hill for this double left-hander as we get ready to head down further towards Acqua Minerale. But definitely need to get the car pointed down in that double left-hander, and now carrying tons of speed through the first part of Acqua Minerale. Hard on the brakes, and now up the hill. Try and keep the back end settled. Get the power down as early as you can without letting it get away. And now Variante Alta at the top of the hill here. Big high curbs on that chicane. Take as much curb as you dare while keeping the car settled. And then heading down into the final couple of corners. Spotting out the braking point. Not a lot of brake markers in heavy braking zones, and being careful not to run out wide through the final two corners. Now get the power down nice and early, as you have a fairly short run to the line. A little bit of an opening of DRS. Hold it tight to the right, and we do a 116.1 to start off. So a little bit of a decent run that first time around, although quickly being pipped by Johan on that one. Now we're going to jump back out now for our second flying lap in this short qualifying session. 8 minutes, just almost 9 minutes left to go in this one, as we're prepping for our second flying lap on a new set of tires once again, and crossing the line with the DRS open, carrying a good amount of speed. It's a medium-high downforce track, so you definitely get quite a bit of benefit from that DRS being open. Now trying to carry the speed through Tamburello there, getting the throttle down and really just hoping the car grips up with that extra bit of downforce. Now through the second chicane, be very careful not to run out on the outside there. And now getting the car slowed down for the hairpin, rotating through the corner, and now we're gaining a fair bit of time. A minute 36 up this time, or 1.36 tenths, not a minute 36. Be way ahead. We'd be doing negative times if that was the case, but we are about a tenth and a half up this time through getting on the brakes through Acqua Minerale. Back end really gets twitchy that time. You can see the steering connection through there as we lose all of that time. Now we're going to try and make up some of it through the Variante Alta, taking a lot of curb that time, really getting the car settled through there. Much better run through this final chicane. And now into the last couple of corners. We'll see it take a lot of curb, swing out wide. We're able to avoid the invalidation there, but a little wide on the exit of the final corner. Have to lift out a little bit. You can see we're losing a bit of delta time. We made up so much time through the final chicane that moves us up onto a 115.6, which provisionally has us fourth at the moment with about 7.5 minutes left to go in this session. So we have time to come back in, get another set of tires on, and go one more time before the end. And here we are, with about 2.5 minutes left to go in the session, getting prepped for that final flying lap. We've fallen down to 7th overall at this point, provisionally, but now we're just going to go at it for this final lap. We're kind of targeting a mid to low 115s in the qualifying session, so already a 15.6 puts us near that mark, but a decent run through Tamburello. Pick up about a half a tenth there. There are some yellow flags up ahead, so we're going to have to be careful through there, and now really try and carry the speed through the second one. Get that second. It's a tricky chicane. Most chicanes, you're slower through the first part. You're kind of picking up speed and accelerating through the second half of the chicane. Some of the chicanes around here, you're actually faster in the first part, and especially that Variante Villeneuve, you have a almost flat out through the first part, but gone a little bit wide. They're not getting it tucked into that double left-hander. You can see the amount of time we've lost, but now we're going to try and make it back up through Acqua Minerale. And much better. The car stayed much more planted. We had a good run. It's saying we had a purple second sector there. And now through the final chicane, trying to match the time that we did last one around, which was about as good as you could do through that chicane for ourselves. But about a tenth up, and now into the final two corners. Can we get the car rotated on that final corner properly? It looks like we've gotten much better. Now the power goes down, and that delta dropping. Going to improve by about a tenth and a half. We'll go to a 15.466, provisionally P6 at the moment, behind Cryptic and Johan just ahead. And now we're going to take a look at the final runs there. LC Fighter puts it on pole position for Aston Martin as QX Nemesis makes it a front row lockout, only 2 tenths separating those two. MJ Povey is third, Johan fourth, Gallimus fifth, Cryptic in P6, Mid Falcon in the Haas is seventh, and we are P8 on the grid. Habsfan, Nick, and El Gloverino round out the top 10. You have Kem, Voki, Jinx, and a few of the others. But here we are out on the track. Soft tires all around us. So we did get some weather reports that there was going to be rain in the course of this race, but a little slow getting off the line with the new steering wheels and pedals setup. Was still getting kind of a finding where the launch is, but sandwiched by the two Ferraris down into Tamburello, being very cautious through there. As you can see, some cars going over the curbing, and we have a little bit of a touch on Mid Falcon, who was slow through that. Luckily, might have been able to avoid some damage there, but we've held on to 8th place as now we're going wide into the gravel there. You see the heavy fuel load we did not quite handle, and in the mirrors there's stuff kicking off. Now Voki on the medium tires right behind us in a very good spot this time around. Really getting a good launch now. We've fallen down to 9th place overall, and Voki on the alternate strategy up into 10th, and we've got the Ferrari of Habsfan Nick just in front of us, a rival from back basically the start of season 1, and has been a measuring stick and has been quicker than us for the most part this season. Has really showed some excellent turn of pace coming in. He's got a bit of a disconnect there, and we have a big touch on the back. I think we were able to just avoid damage. We're going to lift out because it does seem that it did upset his car. But now Voki being opportunistic, we're going to stay on the inside, get later on the brakes, and try and just rotate the car. And we kind of blocked him out there. It was a little naughty, carrying a little too much speed in there. but we managed to hold off the opportunistic move from Voki this time around as we finish the first lap now up into 7th place, as there's been a spinner in front of us that has moved us up ahead from that 9th that we were.
Let's see if I can get some clean air.
Well, it looks like there is the Aston Martin of LC Fighter saw it in front. QX Nemesis got tangled in a bit of an incident earlier on in the lap and fell back through, and that was after Tosa. But we'll see where he's. You can see on the top of the map peeking out behind my camera, and we will try and close up on Habs Van Nick. And after that touch we had earlier on in the lap, we're really kind of worried about his connection to us, so we're trying to be very careful, avoiding him without, kind of like the hind legs of a donkey, and not getting kicked again and not accidentally picking up damage, which you can see tires wearing fairly rapidly around here. Already 17% of where they did start at about 9% on lap 1. We're very cautious into the chicane, but we've got a very good exit on him now. We're going to flip on the overtake, use some of the slipstream. You see closing up. We're going to swing to the inside. Are we going to have an opportunity to make a move? He's side by side with us going into the final 2 corners. We leave a space on the outside now, trying to just get the car rotated, get the power down. There's a little bit of wheel banging on the exit of the final corner there, and we've managed to get that move done, but unfortunately that's putting him right in our slipstream on the longest straight on the track. And now Voki is going to have a look. We're burning as much of the battery as we can. Very hard to regenerate battery around this track, as Nick goes into turn 1 and big contact as he wheel bangs and jumps over the curb there. We're trying to keep some space for Voki, sweeping around the outside in Tamburello, and that is somebody off into the gravel. Yellow flags through the first chicane, and I believe that is one of the Williams, though it seems as though they've kept the car moving, and we are right back in a Ferrari sandwich. Habs Van Nick and El Gloverino ahead and behind us. We're just kind of stuck in the air with them here. Now, at the start of the race, we were looking at rain being a factor at about the 30-minute mark of the race. So having to start on the soft tires was not ideal. It was unlikely that we'd be able to make our way all the way to that rain. But here we are. Safety car on lap 4 comes out. So we are going to go ahead and, along with the cars ahead of us, come in and make an extra pit stop. Now we're definitely outside the window where we could go to the end on a set of dry tires, and we're definitely banking on that rain coming. So onto another set of the soft tires is what I opted for in that case, and it looks like several others have done the same. A few cars stayed out on track on their medium compound tires, but we will get closed right up to the group, and we will be on that faster tire. The medium tire runners, those that were able to start on the mediums, probably in the best shape for this race, as they certainly would have had the ability to go all the way to the rain on those medium tires. But let's jump ahead now. Lap 7 of 32. Safety car coming in this lap, and now for the very tricky restart, as it's very much bunched up ahead, and lots of braking going on, and we're having to look at the field fanning out completely as we wait for the leader to go, and he finally goes. And that was a very messy restart as he tried to hold everyone back and not give the slipstream, as we're going to do a little bit of weaving as we had to lose some temperature in the tires because of how slow we were going. So we're very cautious into turn 1. And that's going to allow El Gloverino to get up the inside of us, as we had very cold tires going into there. We weren't able to generate the temperatures. And the yellow flags once again behind, as it looks like somebody has come off behind us. But it looks like once again that yellow flag is going. QX Nemesis having a look to the inside of Tosa here. We try to leave a little bit of space, but he kind of made a late lunge and has to back out of it. Him being very quick on those medium tires now, as we are now behind both of the Ferraris, Habs Van Nick and El Gloverino. And we will see, of course, 3 laps until DRS gets re-enabled to have a chance to try and fight against Stanier. You can see the McLaren in the pack there had an incident in the opening laps, fallen a lap down, and is now the reason for those blue flags you're seeing on the light boxes and the marshals waving, and definitely making it, even though he's ghosted and can be driven through, just very distracting to stay on the line. It's unfortunate when you get lapped like that. You kind of are stuck in that pack, but you've got to try, I think, to get out of the way a little bit more than that. But we've got a good exit compared to Habs Van Nick coming out of the final corner. We're using a lot of that overtake, trying to close up, trying to take the slipstream and make the move, moving to the outside of him, establishing our position early so he knows where we're going to be But on the brakes, he's going to go a bit deeper than us, carry the speed a little bit more. We're going to try and get in the second phase of Tamburello here, get a good run. And once again, you can see him just kind of moving around. And I back out of there because I didn't know if he was going to see where I was coming through that corner. Just the glitching he did. And now a car off track there. That is Jinx rejoining rather aggressively ahead of Johan. Another car off. MJ Povey is into the walls there. And looks like he may have picked up some damage. Definitely cracked some of the polystyrene boards there. But 9 laps into this 32-lap race, and we are up now to 7th place overall, and just continuing to try and control the pace that we can. Nick with a bit of a tank slapper coming out of Aqua Minerale there, and struggling to really control the car with Stanier there. It's, like I said, it's really distracting having a car up there as we pick up a track limits warning. And definitely a track where you're going to pick up warnings and penalties. You can see Habs fan Nick carrying 3 seconds out ahead of us as Stanier is still driving through him, essentially. We were very early on the brakes as Johan comes steaming in, nearly collecting the back of us into those final corners. But now we are going to use the overtake, use the slipstream, see if we can't get past the back marker McLaren early. It looks like Habs fan Nick has burned a lot of his energy, that flashing red light, meaning he is under 10% battery at this stage as we clat over the curbs. Very easy to unsettle the car if you get onto those yellow sausage curves. If you hit them just right, you'll be fine. But we are once again closing back up to the Ferraris, and bit of a hop over the curbs, and there's some fighting going on just ahead of us as well as the Alpines are battling it out, the 2 of them just ahead. And now we've also got the 2 Ferraris still just ahead of us and not really able to make any inroads on them just yet, really having to back out of a few of the moves just to avoid collisions with Habs and Nick was really, put me on edge for this race, I would say. But we are still kind of maintaining position. We're still in the points in 7th, and now we're going to try and get around as we get another track limits warning, jumping over the curbs. And here we are once again where we made a pass on Habs fan Nick earlier. We're going to go for it once more. He's kind of squeezing us to the left, not letting us have quite the same amount of space. And now as he turns in early, we were alongside under braking. He got a little bit of an advantage under braking, but he gets into the side of us, and that has sent him sideways. Might be one that gets referred to the stewards. We'll have to wait and see, but I think I was at least there at the start of the braking phase. I had to slow down more than him naturally just because I was going to have the tighter line through the corner. But we are defending from Johan now, who we both had DRS, and we go defensive to the inside into Tamburello and are able to just hold him off there. But now we've got our eyes ahead. Cameron Slater has had a bit of a mistake. Him on the medium tires as El Glavarino streaking out through there, and now we will see if we can get a move onto this medium tire runner just ahead of us. We should still have a little bit of a pace advantage putting on these tires on lap 4. Soft tires good for 12 to 14 laps, although they really start to lose their performance at about 6 or 7 laps into their stint, and that's where they start to hit that crossover point. But you can see the sky now getting a little bit darker as the rain's coming in. At the start of the race, Jeff was saying 10 to 15 minutes of rain, and even under the first safety car, was still kind of parroting that 10 to 15 minute mark. Although it started to come down towards the end of the safety car period, and that's why we fit the soft tires again as opposed to the mediums. The softs would be able to take us to at least lap 20 by the time we put them on if we ran those full 14 laps after the restart. But here we are, DRS open. We're going to go right past Cryptic. Easy move under the full throttle there. Now we've got to set our eyes ahead, or Cameron Slater rather. Cryptic is a couple slots up the road. So the other Alpines, easy to mix them up from time to time, especially because I don't have name tags on. But we're going to jump ahead now to lap 14, and with the following Cryptic here, we've managed to get past El Glavarino. We are following Cryptic, and you can see now raindrops streaking down the halo and down the bodywork. The rain is starting to come on. It's lap 14. We should be able to go to about lap 16 to 18 on these tires, so really going to have to be careful. And now we're just trying to keep pace with Cryptic, as wet weather is definitely not my forte in this game. I definitely struggle in the wet weather running. So if we can just kind of manage to stay with Cryptic, we'll be in a good spot. We do have 3 seconds worth of time penalties, but so does Johan and Cameron behind us. And we are running 4th of the 14 remaining drivers at this stage. So up inside the top 5 during the dry running of the race. Now the rain's starting to come in, and really just trying to feel out how much grip we have. Every time we come around a corner or into a braking zone, it's a bit of a mystery with the way the rain is coming down, especially on a track I haven't run before. So just trying to stay with Cryptic, who's typically a quicker driver than me. I think with the tire differential, I should be able to just about hang with him. But DRS is still enabled, which is usually the indicator of when to make your crossover from dries onto the intermediate tires, is when that DRS gets enabled. But another good run as we were coming into turn 1, but just a little bit too far back to try and make any kind of move. And in fact, we closed the DRS a little bit early on the approach to let the drag slow us down a little bit where we wouldn't run over. But now jumping ahead, lap 17 of 32, and a virtual safety car gets deployed for an incident out on the track. And so here we are. The choice is now, and all the cars ahead of us jumping into the pits for tires. We are going to go ahead and do the same. We're going to go for the intermediate tires. The virtual safety car ends as we are entering the pit lane here. The DRS is still enabled at this point. We are returning to racing speed, and basically the entire lead pack has come in for those intermediate tires. We will see if that pays off, or if those who were brave enough to stay out on the dry tires made the right choice. But the rain is scheduled to get heavier as the race goes on. So definitely going to need to make that crossover at some point. But here we are getting on the throttle. And out of the pits we come in 7th of the 14 drivers. So we've dropped 3 positions from cars staying out. Now really just having to get a feel for how the car is driving on the much wetter track. We had kind of gotten settled into how the dry tires would behave, but the intermediates are a different story altogether. You can see running wide onto the gravel there. No track limits warning there, luckily, because we were just we didn't really gain anything by going out there. But now it is time to try and manage the slippery conditions on a new wheel, new brakes, new throttle pedal, everything completely different for us. And already, even in ideal situations, I'm probably one of the slower drivers when it comes to the rain. But you can see just how much time I'm losing to Cryptic. A big snap of oversteer as we're coming up the hill, and was able to get the save early on, luckily, to get the feel for that going wrong quickly. But the intermediate tires will last just about forever. So we are going to be able to, if the rain stays about what it is, or even just a little bit harder, we can get those tires to the end of the race. As you can see, some lockups, but there it is. DRS now disabled. So came in just about the right time on those intermediate tires. Might have still been slightly quicker on the dries, but you can see other drivers now, Johan, Kem, in the pit lanes. Have some Nix, QX, Nemesis, all in the pit lane making their tire switches. They came in the lap later, and we managed to get right by them, and now we're up into 3rd place with just Cryptic and LC Fighter up ahead of us, and Voki closing now on those intermediates, showing really good pace coming up behind us. And QX Nemesis now going to get those tires up to temperature and start chasing us down as we run just a little bit wide there and pick up another 3-second time penalty. So C now has 6 seconds worth of penalties in this one, and is definitely not what we needed. We've typically gained a lot of positions this season by staying clean. As we jump ahead, lap 20, Cryptic is off and makes a very dangerous rejoin up in front of us. Luckily, was still ghosted, but that cost us a fair bit of time to Voki. It does move us up into 2nd place, about 8.5 seconds behind LC Fighter in the Aston Martin. And boy, do we have Voki all over our tail now. Him carrying no seconds of time penalties, and us carrying that full 6 seconds with 11 laps left to go in this Grand Prix. And the rain coming down a little bit heavier now as it continues, but we are looking to defend to the inside from Voki. He has a little bit of a look to the outside, but we're not going to give it. Big snap of oversteer once again, just trying to keep the car saved. And I do think that that having the new wheel definitely helped me out. But here we are, lap 25 of 32, and you can see the standing water and the puddles now on the track as more and more rain is pouring down. We're basically nearly into full wet tire conditions as we've got Cryptic all over our gearbox as we are struggling on the throttle. A double snap, have to save the car twice trying to get the power down, and that allows Cryptic to just sail right on past us. And that is going to put us right at risk from Voki as easing on the power, just trying to get down into the next corner as Cryptic is going to start to streak away from us. Him carrying 6 seconds of time penalties as well. Was really hoping to try and keep him behind for as long as possible, because Voki also picking up 3 seconds worth of time penalties in the intermediate phases in between a couple of the cuts. But now Voki once again closing up, using that slipstream, using that extra battery power, that electrical deployment to give him that extra boost of horsepower. We are 2 in order to defend, and we kind of lock up into turn 1, just trying to keep the car on track in that braking zone. Voki right up on us now, a little bit of contact as he's just trying to look for a way to go by as he's coming down the inside. And we are going to try and get the car slowed down as we sweep across another bit of contact. And that's going to put QX Nemesis right in the fight, as well as we've got Voki just ahead, managing to secure that. A little contact with him as he's a little slower on the apex. No harm, no foul, but now we are sandwiched in between 2 very quick drivers on this one as we come down as Nemesis makes a bump into the back of us as we had to lift with Voki getting on the brakes early, and that sends us a little wide, and Nemesis sneaking his way through. Unfortunately, talking to him after the race, was a little bit of connection desync from him there. He saw me jump back a little bit, but I was already having to lift off with Voki in front, so I think regardless of the desync, he probably would have hit me, but I wasn't going to report it because he saw some different things going on. But that's dropped us now to 5th of the 14, and now we have Habs fan Nick 3.6 seconds back of us, but most importantly carrying only 3 seconds of time penalties compared to our 6. So with only a few laps left to go in this one, 6 laps left to be precise, we've got to try and manage that gap. Now here we are jumping ahead, lap 27 of 32. There's some yellow flags behind. Nick is 2.7 seconds back, but a safety car is deployed for the incident now with only 5 laps left to go in the race, and 2 drivers behind us with less time penalties. That is going to be really bad news for our race. At least the 2 drivers that we can see, as we are running in 5th and just about keeping to that 3-second margin. Now on lap 30 of 32, it'll be lap 31 once we get rolling once again. It is going to be restarting this race as Voki across the curbing there, a little roughly, as we try to get the power down and now have to race our way. Only 2 flying laps left to go in this race as our tires are fairly cold on that front left coming into the braking zone of turn 1 as Nemesis and Voki dueling side by side. Bit of a lockup into turn 1 there, although able to keep it corralled, and now just trying to do what we can in the spray and in the tough conditions. We don't have the penalty variance to Voki, and we've definitely lost the time delta that we needed to keep Nick behind us. The rain started to lighten up just a little bit, but still very tough through this phase of the race. And I can say that MJ Povey was actually running 8th at this point, just behind Johan, and had no time penalties to his name, so he is right in the danger zone for us as well to be dropping back. But for a race we are running up as high as 2nd in, and now we've really struggled in the wet phase of this race, has really cost us this time around. But you know, off the back of a very disappointing performance in Circuit of the Americas at our home race, picking up our worst result since the season opener of season 2. So almost 3 full seasons ago, which was also at COTA, where we had a 17th place finish. So really trying to get ourselves back into the points paying positions. We have to score, I think, 109 points total to eclipse our best season, which was season 3, or season 2 rather. That was that same season, but we went on a very good run with Williams winning the Constructors' Championship alongside MJ Povey, who took his first Drivers' Championship. But MJ Povey now in a potential position to take his 3rd in a row in the Xbox division, his 3rd Drivers' title, as he has built quite a bit of a lead, and Nemesis and Habs fan Nick both ahead of him on the road. Now you can see MJ Povey 7th place on the road now, having gotten past Johan, and now 1.2 seconds back of us, or 1.9 seconds back, but also carrying no penalties and that purple stripe, that fastest lap of the race. So he is looking to pick up that bonus point as well, as we are just going to try and push on, see if maybe we can get that 3-second margin to Johan. Maybe Nick and Povey can hold them up, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be good news for us crossing the start-finish line as we pitch it through Variante Alta for the last time. Another little snap of oversteer coming out of the that section of corners. And on the brakes for the last time into the final 2 corners to finish off this race is going to be LC Fighter, though, in the Aston Martin, crossing the line first. Voki and Nemesis taking the other podium positions with Cryptic F1 up there as we get shuffled down to 8th place overall after the penalties are applied, though. That late safety car really doing us in on that one. So LC Fighter out front, Voki, QX Nemesis, Cryptic F1 4th, Habs Van Nick rounding out the top 5 for the provisional results. Of course, stewarding is still ongoing for some of the incidents of the race, and there was, I believe, some incidents of timing tower issues at the very end, which we've seen from time to time with penalties not being applied correctly. So those, I believe, had to be fixed and might have changed our podium. I believe that got Cryptic on the podium. But as it stands, LC Fighter here with Voki and QX Nemesis, the 3 drivers showing on the podium this time around. So first win for LC Fighter, takes the pole position, takes the win, a big result for Aston Martin here in Imola. And of course, Voki picking up some very badly needed points for Alfa Romeo in this one as they were down towards the bottom of the Constructors' Championship that time around. But we'll take a look at the final standings and classification in one moment. Of course, like I said, it is provisional at this stage. There's still some stewarding to be done, I'm sure, with such a chaotic race. But ultimately, the rain kind of did us in, which was a bit of a bummer. We were running so well in the drive, but here we are. LC Fighter, Voki, QX Nemesis, Cryptic F1. Then you have Habs Van Nick, MJ Povey, Johan, ourselves, Jinx, Kem rounding out the points paying positions. Cameron Slater, El Gloverino, Stanier, and Galimooms bringing up the 11th through 14th. And then Mid Falcon and Backwash Boy, the 2 drivers who did not finish in this race. So now we'll take a look at the provisional drivers' standings, and if the math is indeed correct, MJ Povey has secured his 3rd driver's title after his performance here in Imola. Definitely not the way he would have liked to have done it. Would certainly like to have been on the podium for it, but with 184 points and only 2 races left to go, he is clear of QX Nemesis, who has opened up his gap to Habs Van Nick for 2nd. LC Fighter now closing that gap, though, to that 3rd place position on the driver's title, as we've moved ahead of Grenschel, who did not compete today, back into 5th place. El Gloverino is 7th on 47 points, and Voki, a big jump up the tables, 42 points to his name now in 8th. Johan and Issei, the 2 AlphaTauri teammates, split by only 1 point, 40 and 39, ahead of Cryptic with 35, Mid Falcon with 28, Jinx with 25, and Pepmeister with 24. The 2 Red Bull teammates, Gali and Kem, are tied on 21 points apiece. Sid still there in 17th with his 13 points from his 1 appearance this season. Statman Joey and Stanier only split by 1 point for the McLaren team as well, as you have Backwash Boy still on 9 points in 20th, and Cameron Slater with 1 point for Williams there. But there has been a shakeup at the top of the constructors' standings. Even though MJ Povey secured the driver's title, Williams has lost the lead of the Constructors' Championship to Aston Martin on the strength of that LC Fighter win and potential podium from QX Nemesis. So 218 to 209, only 9 points separating them, though, with the 2 races left to go in this one. Ferrari getting a decent bit of clearance from ourselves in Mercedes on 162 points, though we have cracked that 100-point margin this season now. McLaren on 91, only 9 points back of us, so still some work to do, as AlphaTauri and Haas are split by only 10 points on 79 and 69. Red Bull is on to 57 points. Alfa Romeo takes in a good haul to close up that gap, thanks to Voki with 49 points, and is now 10 points clear of Alpine in P10 with 39 points. Now we'll take a look at the calendar, which has seen some adjustments. Of course, Japan was replaced with Portimao, and the Netherlands was replaced with this race you just saw in Imola, but no more changes to the calendar. We have Australia coming up next week, and then the season finale in Brazil. We'll check out Interlagos to see how the final parts of this season goes. See if we can't have a couple of good results. Australia has typically been a difficult track for myself, so we will see if we can get up to speed on that one. And of course, Brazil, we've had good pace, but bad luck in the past. And we'll see if we can put a charge on and try and close down those top three, but we'll see if we can at least get ourselves up into fourth. But it's really all about this at this stage, trying to contribute to the overall team's championship. That is, I don't speak much about in this, but it is definitely something that is focused on where all of the teams score points across all of the divisions in the FRS, and so we have an aggregate score total for everyone, and we are trying to see what we can do as the Mercedes team in that one. But thank you all for joining me. We'll have another one up for Australia coming next week. See y'all a little later. Peace.